From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a major night here on Evenings LALATE as massive stimulus checks for 2023 are passed. We'll go over those brand new stimulus checks for 2023. But first stop, A to C, E through A, L to Q. And for 2023, stimulus check off. Heats up tonight's broadcast passed for you. These are stimulus checks for you if you are on SSI. Stimulus checks for you if you're on SSDI. Stimulus checks for SSA. Veteran stimulus checks. Low-income stimulus checks. American stimulus checks for all Americans and U.S. territories if you make less than $75,000. These incredible 2023 stimulus checks heat up tonight's broadcast, and you need them. Why? Because it's going to likely be a 24-month recession. In tonight's recording, we go over these 18 months of stimulus checks, 5 checks per month, $3,000 a month. And we also go over how to get all these incredible checks, plus the brand new stimulus check R, unemployment stimulus, PEBT stimulus checks. For who? In the membership newsletter. Go right down this video and apply for stimulus checks right tonight without waiting a second at news.la.com/newsletter. Plus, we'll go over the latest details on the rate hikes for some time, says the Fed governors in their latest minutes ago. Keeping up Kashari with the latest comments from the Fed governor, who says we could be in store for this for just a little bit longer. PayPal coming in super hot. Plus, we go over the latest details that came in with another manufacturing report. Yesterday, we had the PMI manufacturing report that was weaker than expected, and on Thursday, we have Fed speeches and jobs reports, but guess what happened today? The ISM report, and it was relatively flat. But the JOLTS report was a little bit hotter than expected. Well, here we go. A little bit of jolt for there as well. From the shores of San Diego, California, good evening. It's tonight's broadcast on massive stimulus for 2023. Pass for you, SSI, stimulus checks, SSDI, stimulus checks, low-income stimulus checks, every American stimulus checks, even business stimulus checks and stimulus check R. Go around this video, become a member, get ready for the broadcast that everyone's talking about. It's the biggest show in prime time for financial news. It's Evenings LA, and all the deliciousness heats up right now. From the shores of San Diego, California, let's get to the breaking news on Evenings. Good evening, everybody. In less than 30 days from now, we're likely to learn whether it's going to be a 2-month recession or 2 years, and that is why you need to get as much stimulus as possible. And in tonight's recording, we're going to go over all this incredible stimulus checks there for you, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, stimulus checks, railroad benefits, veterans, every American and U.S. territory. If you make $75,000 less, it's for you. If you're a married couple and you make $150,000 less, it's for you. And how to get these incredible checks, you watch over this 1-hour broadcast. The most watched show for financial news in prime time. It's Evenings LA every night at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But without a delay, let's go into these incredible stimulus checks for 2023. You deserve these big stimulus checks, and they're absolutely wonderful. There's 3 different categories of stimulus checks that heat up tonight's broadcast. Stimulus checks A to C, E to Q, and then E to K, and L to Q. And let's go over those beautiful stimulus checks starting right now. Good evening. At stimulus check A to C, we have the stimulus checks that were passed by Joe Biden by executive action in early 2022. Yes, 2023 is going to be the biggest year for stimulus because it is a combination of 3 years of stimulus checks for you that have not expired, and it's over $500 million still sitting around. Stimulus check A, B, and C, over $100,000 just there alone. And we're going to go over those incredible stimulus checks in just a second. These are done by Joe Biden. You qualify. And I'm going to go over these incredible stimulus checks one at a time in this broadcast, and then how to get these incredible checks. Then came Congress, and they did stimulus checks E through K, which brought us to then hundreds of checks for you, the credible member community, this family, the Purple Power community, hundreds of checks, and you deserve every single one of these incredible checks. And since then, I found you other checks, L and M, N and O, P and Q. And those incredible checks heat up tonight's broadcast. Then we'll be going over to that stimulus check R for my small business owners. We'll be going over to that unemployment stimulus checks for my W-2s, my PBT stimulus checks for my children. Not my children, your children. Don't want to start rumors here. And then we will be going back into all the deliciousness you need to know. But let's first go over the eligibility of these 2023 stimulus checks. They're for you if you make $75,000 less. So go get them. They're stimulus checks for SSI, stimulus checks for SSDI, stimulus checks for SSA, stimulus checks for veterans, stimulus checks for low income. These are stimulus checks for all Americans, all U.S. states, all U.S. states, all U.S. territories. And how do you get them? Let's go over each of these wonderful checks one at a time, starting with those first three checks from Joseph Biden. Stimulus check A, B, and C. Let's see you right now, front and center. There you are. Stimulus check A, B, and C. Let's get some of them right now. At stimulus check A, we have a $6,500 to $12,000 stimulus check across the board. It's huge. It's absolutely wonderful. How do we get this beautiful $6,500 to $12,000 stimulus check? Go right under the video. Join the channel, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Go right into the membership newsletter, choose your state, and then immediately get that beautiful stimulus check A. It's that straightforward. But it's not done there yet, because then you're going to go get stimulus check B, $15,000 to $80,000. How do I get stimulus check B? Become a member, join this channel, join LALATE 1 or LALATE 2 or LALATE 3. Go right on the videos button, click the join button, and then go into that membership newsletter and get stimulus check B. Now, stimulus check B is the check you really want that is going to help you survive a 2-year potential recession. And why do you want stimulus check B? Because it's the check that helps get you, on average, 18 months of stimulus checks, $3,000 a month, 5 checks a month on average, fast stimulus. And you're going to need it if we really do have a 2-year recession. That's why it's always important to go with the biggest and best checks first. And that's stimulus check B. What did Frank Mancuso get? Frank Mancuso joined this channel and look what he got in less than 30 days. He got check B, 18 months of mortgage, 18 months of utilities, 18 months of high-speed internet. That is a lot of money in Florida. And that is nearly 80-plus checks. It's all incredible. It's fast stimulus. And we have nearly $300,000 of stimulus checks coming up in this broadcast tonight. So that is stimulus check B, but we're not done there yet. No, because now we're going to stimulus check C. Stimulus check C is for rent and utilities and mortgage assistance, and it keeps on growing by the minute and by the hour. And stimulus check C is beautiful. Again, it's for rent and utilities and mortgage assistance and more. And how do you get it? You go right in this video, you become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Calcino VIP. And at that beautiful stimulus check C, it tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. And what have been some of the success stories for that beautiful check C on this channel? Well, let's look at some of the success stories right now. If it's for rent, viewers have gotten $30,000 from check C as members. Look at these numbers right now. From Nisi all the way to Elizabeth, go get some credible check C, join this channel, become a member. And what about some beautiful utilities? Do you want $15,000 of utility stimulus checks? If you're on SSI and SSDI, go get some utility stimulus checks right now. And what about some beautiful combinations of checks? Of course you do. Get $50,000 of combinations of checks for 2023. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, low-income stimulus checks for you. It's $50,000 of stimulus checks for you. Under the video, join the channel. And combination checks, Marcos at $50,000. He went to a $166,000 of 2023 stimulus checks for low income. Lorraine was $105,000 of 2023 stimulus checks for low income, SSI and SSDI, Social Security and railroad benefits. Dragon has got $170,000 of 2023 stimulus checks for this channel. We have Johnny, who has gotten $250,000 for 20 friends and neighbors. And these incredible stimulus checks A to C are just the first 3 checks, because you know what comes up next, E to K. And those are from Congress. So the first 3 checks, A, B, and C, are from Joe Biden. We got a lot of 2023 stimulus checks in tonight's broadcast, and we're just getting started. Remember, the first 3 checks were from A to C from Joe Biden. Now let's go to E to K. At Stimulus Check E to K, you have a lot of beautiful stimulus, and let's look at these one at a time. These are for you, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, all Americans, all U.S. states who qualify. Let's go into these beautiful stimulus checks starting right now. At Stimulus Check E, a $7,500 stimulus check. Wonderful. Stimulus Check F, a $4,000 stimulus check. Love it. Then at Stimulus Check G is a beautiful 30% off. Wow. Stimulus Check H, a $2,000 stimulus check. Great. Love it. Stimulus Check I, we have a whopping $8,000 stimulus check. Incredible. Stimulus Check J, $8,000 stimulus check. Love it. And Stimulus Check K, a $14,000 stimulus check. Just wonderful. Well, those are your beautiful stimulus checks E through K. But I found you more stimulus checks after that. A to C stimulus checks for you if you make $75,000 or less, low income or SSI or SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, were done by Joe Biden. Then E through K were done by Congress. Then I found you more stimulus checks, and they're coming up right now. They're at L and M, N and O, and P and Q. Let's look at those beautiful stimulus checks right now. At L, $100,000 an average of loan interest-free money. M, a $4,000 stimulus check. Love it. Then at Stimulus N, a beautiful free internet, free computer, tablet, or free laptop. Just choose your pick. It's all at Stimulus N in the membership newsletter. Stimulus Check O, zero down payment, zero closing costs for a brand new mortgage. Wow, I love it. And then Stimulus Check P and Q. Beautiful. Refi at 3%, and then Q an $8,000 stimulus check. Wow. So that is huge. For these 2023 stimulus checks, what is the largest check? Was the smallest? Smallest $8,000, largest $100,000. Fastest rounding time, 2 days. Johnny started on Monday. By Wednesday, he had 45,000 of these 2023 stimulus checks. Insane. He continued throughout the week, and then what did he get? 15 applications in, half rejected, half approved, $80,000 by Friday. In 4 days, as a member of these beautiful checks. Then he helped his mom and dad. What did they get? $50,000 each for these 2023 stimulus checks. Then he helped his 20 friends and neighbors $250,000 over the next few weeks. Incredible. So those are your 2023 stimulus check routing times. Largest check, $100,000. Smallest stimulus check, $8,000. What are these stimulus checks for 2023? The rent, the computer, the tablet, the mortgage, the laptop, the car, the home repairs, the home appliances, just a lot of wonderful things, almost too many to remember. And those are stimulus checks A to Q. Again, these are stimulus checks for you if you make $75,000 or less. Go get them right now. If you're a married couple and you make $150,000 less, go get them right now. If you're on SSI, go get these beautiful stimulus checks right now for you, SSI. SSDI, stimulus checks for you. Railroad benefits, stimulus checks for you. Veterans, stimulus checks for you. Do not wait to get these beautiful, beautiful stimulus checks for 2023. 2023 is going to be a big year for stimulus. Why? Because the combination of stimulus checks for many different years, over $500 million of unused money. Stimulus checks for 2020, 2021, and 2022. And there's always new stimulus checks coming to this channel. And you can cue up the drums because here comes Stimulus Check R. Stimulus Check R brings us back to the very first days of this channel with the EIDL grant, the PPP, the PUA, because boy, this is exciting. This is Stimulus Check R for my small business owners. Stimulus Check R is a lot of money, folks. It really is, and that's why it gets so incredibly exciting. Stimulus Check R is the employee retention credit. And that employee retention credit at Stimulus Check R is huge. How does it work? How much money is it? And what's going on? Stimulus Check R is among the many stimulus checks for 2023 that looks back at what happened in 2020 and says you did not get paid enough money. So what are they doing for this beautiful Stimulus Check R, and what is it? Stimulus Check R is the employee retention credit. Employer retention credit. It works on the following concept. If you had employees on staff in 2019 and you did not fire them in 2020, you're going to get a check. If you kept them on staff in 2021 and did not fire them either, you're going to get another check. And it's a lot of money. How much money? If you kept one employee from 2019 on staff through the third quarter of 2021 and never fired them, even though COVID was going on, you're going to get $1,000 in the employee retention tax credit. It's down at Stimulus Check R in the membership newsletter. Reach out to a tax preparer to give you guidance on the Stimulus Check R. But again, here are the calculations. $4,000 for every employee you did not fire in 2020 that was on staff in 2019. $4,000 per employee. Then $7,000 per quarter for every quarter you cut that employee on staff in the first, second, and third quarter 2021. Grand total, $26,000 per employee you did not fire. And then there's no limit on the number of employees. So if you had 20 employees in 2019, you didn't fire them in 2020 or in 2021, guess how much money you're going to get? Over $500,000. Where else is anyone teaching about $500,000 of stimulus checks? Still unused, still making news every night on Eating to LA. And that is our beautiful Stimulus Check R down in the membership newsletter. So A to Q is for everyone else, R is for my small business owners, and now we're off to another stimulus checks for you in 2023, which are that's a little stimulus humor there. which are stimulus checks for unemployment. Stimulus checks for unemployment heat up 2023 because more people will be unemployed, but also more people may not know how to do it. But why? Because Americans generally don't apply for unemployment if they've never been unemployed before. And in fact, some people were not at an adult age during the pandemic, and this may be their first ride at the pony races if they get unemployed this time around. So let's go over how unemployment stimulus works in 2023. In this example, I'm going to use the year of 2020 as the example of what we're dealing with across the board. What I want to presume are a series of dates. First, I want to assume that you had a job as a W-2 employee in, let's choose September 2020. And then October 1st, 2022. And then October 1st, 2022, the employer walked up to you and said, ma'am, you're fired. Let's assume that fact. And let's also assume that by February of 2023, you got hired at another job. Okay, got that? So with that, let's go over how much money you can get and how this works. The concept of unemployment is very unusual for anyone who's never done it before. So unemployment stimulus is a lot of money, but initially when you look at it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Let me explain to you why. Do you have a job? I do. So you can't get unemployment. Yeah, I can. For the weeks that I did not have a job. Excuse me? Let me explain how this works. If you were unemployed in this example as a fired W-2 employee on October 1st, 2022, you were unemployed that first week of October, that second week of October, that third week of October. You were unemployed all of October 2022, all of November 2022, all of December 2022. You were unemployed for all those weeks until you got a brand new job on January 1, 2023. But most people don't know is that for the weeks you were unemployed in October, November, and December last year, you can get checks now, even though you later got a job at a different week. That's what's fundamental to understand. Let's go over the calculations right now. So if you're watching this video, let's just choose a day in the future. Let's say you're watching this video in June of 2023. And you say, but wait a second. I got a beautiful job to start 2023 at, but I was very much unemployed in October, November, December last year. Can I still get unemployment for the weeks of October, November, December last year when I was unemployed as a fired W-2 employee? Yeah, you can. No one explains that to you. You can get unemployment for those weeks that you were unemployed, even though you later got a job at another date. And if it's been many months since you applied for this unemployment, you can still do this back to the correct weeks at issue. So let's do some beautiful unemployment stimulus starting right now. Again, our example is that you were a W-2 employee, because you must be a W-2 employee, that you were fired, you must be fired, and that the firing date was October 1st. And then we're going to assume that you got hired at another job as a W-2 come January 1, 2023. So what do? Step one, you go to your state's Department of Unemployment website, file the claim. File the claim, put your name and address and all your beautiful information in there, and get the claim rocking and rolling. There are 3 questions they will ask in step number 1. In step number 1, what date were you fired? What's the answer? In this example, it is October 1st. That's when that boss walked up to you as a W-2 employee and said, ma'am, you're fired. It's October 1st. Question number 2 on step 1. Are you willing to work? Answer yes. Able to work? Answer yes. You must answer yes and yes, otherwise you'll be denied. What does able to work mean? It's a physical question. What does willing to work mean? It's a mental question. And with that, your claim is approved. Step 1 is asking, what date were you fired as a W-2 employee? In this example, it's October 1st. Willing to work? Yes. Able to work? Yes. Done. A claim is approved. Now, step 2 makes me have a remembrance of the very first week of this channel in 2020. I think his beautiful name was King Reno. Boy, I don't know how I remember this. King Reno said, LALATE, I did everything you said. I filed the claim. I got the claim approved. I never got a check. I said, did you do step 2? I forgot. He said, don't forget step number 2, which is where you certify for weekly benefits. What does that mean? It's a fancy way of saying I'm asking for a stimulus check for the week in which I was unemployed as a fired W-2. This, in our example, is the person fired on October 1st. It's the first week of October, unemployed. Every week of October, every week of November, every week of December, but you get nothing thereafter because you got another job starting in January 2023. So it's going to have you do each week at a time, one at a time. I like you to use the websites usually for unemployment because it's so easy. It just sort of guides you along the way. You get used to how it looks. You do 1 week, you do the next week. Have a power outage, computer loses battery power, or something happens, don't worry, it'll pick up where you left off. Can you be too early in applying for unemployment? Absolutely, it'll tell you if you're too early. Can you be too late? Generally not. And that's the incredible nature of unemployment. Most people, again, do not realize that you can get unemployment for the weeks you were unemployed as a fired W-2 employee, even though you later get a job at another place. It's incredible. And there's your unemployment stimulus. Let's go over to PEBT stimulus. So PEBT stimulus is based upon the same concept, which is Americans were not paid enough during the pandemic, and this in those cases are families with children on the school meals. Not paid enough, so $391 checks in the mail. Every state is doing it slightly different. And I'll be ramping up more of this PEBT coverage across the board. Arizona is sending out $391 for this beautiful PEBT stimulus. So a lot of different stimulus items, don't you see? It's a lot of stuff. PBT for the children. Unemployment for the employees laid off. For the business owners, stimulus check R. And for you, SSI, SSDI, SSA, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans, stimulus checks A, B, C, E to K, L to Q. Lots of beautiful stimulus for Americans in American territories. Well, we have a lot going on tonight because why? The Federal Reserve meets once a month and they release their minutes of their meeting several weeks thereafter. And their minutes were released literally in the last 50 minutes. There's a lot in these minutes, and there's one expression specifically. If you missed the afternoon show today, I address it. There's one expression in there which I think is groundbreaking. I think it's fundamentally the most important expression we have heard from the Federal Reserve in nearly 6 months. So this is the critical recording you need to watch. I did not see anyone in broadcast news pick up on this nuance. It's a nuance, a phrasing of a sentence from the Federal Reserve's own mouth. It's huge, and it could fundamentally change how this economy is in 2023. It's coming up in the big second half. Plus, what do we also have in the big second half? We have one of the Fed governors, Kashari, speaking about what he believes is left for Fed rate hikes. Fascinating. Neil Kashari, and keeping up with him, heats up the big second half. Plus, we'll be looking at what we saw today in those big numbers from the ISM and the JOLTS. Was it a beat or was it a miss? And what did we learn about each of those numbers today? On Thursday, we have more Fed speeches on labor numbers, and on Friday, big jobs report. This is a fundamentally critical show this a week across the board. But in the big second half, the latest details on the markets. We'll have more about what to know and what to see, and we'll have a little bit to what to expect for tomorrow as the latest job numbers are released as well. I'll see you back in 60 seconds with this and more as all the major breaking news on Evenings LA continues tonight. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now,
then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues from the shores of Santa Monica, California, on a big evening in LA with a lot of major news hitting. And of course, those Fed minutes released minutes ago. Those Fed minutes are critical because what do they tell us? The Federal Reserve meets once a month at the FOMC meeting, but their minutes of their notes of what they said aren't released until a couple weeks later. And tonight we have the breaking news of those minutes from the December meeting. What did it say about interest rate spikes? And also, what does it say about this economy? The breaking news all heats up this big second half from the shores of Santa Monica, California. And we have a lot of stimulus still coming up in tonight's broadcast. I'm excited you're here from the shores. Let's get to the breaking news on the big second half. Good evening. Tonight, we're dealing with the markets trying to really get a footing and a little bit of confusion across the board. The breaking news was the rate hikes for some time and comments from the Federal Reserve were released tonight, but those comments should not come as a surprise to you. Why? Let's go over the details starting right now. What we have learned from the markets in the last year of this channel is that the markets generally trade up based upon Federal Reserve's comments and trade down the day after based upon those same comments. They generally don't have a negative reaction to whatever the Federal Reserve says the same day. They generally do it the next day. So, could tomorrow be a bloodbath for the markets? Let's go over the details of what the Federal Reserve said today. The Federal Reserve's minutes from the December meeting to determine what to do were released today. What does the Federal Reserve do? The Federal Reserve has a dual mandate: maximum employment, which means keep unemployment low, and price stability, which means keep inflation low. And what do their minutes say today? That they will be raising interest rate spikes to battle inflation, quote, for some time. Is that a new quote? It is not. How many times have I ran that quote on this channel from the Federal Reserve? That is not a new quote for some time. They want to get inflation to 2%. Is that new? No, they have said that for a while as well. Let's take it back to, see if I can remember the year, 2020. When the Federal Reserve said inflation will be temporary transitory at early 2022. And I said, no, it would not. It's not going to be temporary transitory. It's going to be 8%. It's not going to go away. Well, over a year later now, inflation is still at 8%. They also said they're going to get inflation down to 2%. More specifically, and this is what's fundamentally important to remember tonight, and this is only stuff you see on LALATE, is that the Fed governor, specifically Loretta Mester and Jay Powell, said they need inflation down at, watch it carefully, at 2% for some time. It needs to stay down for some time at 2%. And they actually said this would potentially take us to 2024. So they wanted it at a number for some time, for a duration, which is several months. It's not, sometimes it's not several weeks, it's several months because they meet once a month. Tonight, watch how different the quote is. And again, you didn't hear this anywhere else except on LA. I saw this quote, I had it live on air because it was just released on afternoons. And I read it and I said, wait, did I read that right? Let's run the quote together as a family right now. This is what the Federal Reserve said. They said Participants generally observed that a restrictive policy stance would need to be maintained until the incoming data provided confidence that inflation was on a sustained downward path to 2%, which is likely to take some time. Excuse me? That's a different quote. It's a very different quote. The prior quote was they needed it at 2% for some time. At 2%, meaning they needed it at a number, and they needed to stay at that number for a few months. They were not going to leave it at 4 or 5. They needed it at 2, and they need to be there for a few months. The quote tonight is not that. The quote is very fundamentally different. The quote is that they needed on a sustained downward path to 2%. This is like the Wizard of Oz. Have you seen the wizard? No, we're on the path to the wizard. Well, that's enough. Enough. I thought we had to see the wizard. No, you don't need to see the wizard. You have to be on the path to see the wizard. And a downward path to see the wizard. And then you're done. Wait a second, Jay. Jay Bao, you changed this up and I caught you. Wall Street apparently did not. The other broadcasting channels of financial news completely didn't catch this at all. I was the only one who caught this. The word downward path was never part of the lexicon of the Federal Reserve. I don't care if it was a Loretta Master or Jay Powell. None of these Fed governors ever said, we're on a path to getting to 2%. We don't have to be at 2%. We're just on a path to it. And it's a downward path. It's a downward path to 2%. So you're going to look at me and say, what the world is a downward path, LALATE? Yeah, and I'm going to laugh right back at you. Well, you went from 8 to 7 and then to 6, so that's a downward path to 2%. You can stop. Really? Really? Yeah, apparently, because this is the different quote tonight. This is a totally different quote. The original quote was at 2%, at a number for a while. Now the quote is, we're on a downward path to 2%, and I know what you're about to say to me. What is a path? How long and how close to 2%? Downward's pretty easy. So it went from 9.2 to 9.1. No, they went a little more significant than that. But downward path to 2%, how close to 2%? They don't say in these minutes. They don't say 3 or 4 is going to cut it or 6 or 7 will be fine. They don't say it. But the fact that they're even saying a downward path as opposed to saying the number is a totally different situation. And I don't understand how no one on Wall Street had an English major in their resume. Because anyone that understands wording understands, wait a second, this is different language than you've said all along. Wow. If you take these words verbatim, which I am, then I'm saying this is a Fed pivot right there. This is a Fed pivot right there. Because a path to 2% is not 2%. A path to the Wizard of Oz is not the Wizard of Oz. It's just a path. It's the yellow brick road is not Oz. It's the path to Oz. Yeah, only on LALATE you can see that, or you can see that type of analysis. But that's the type of analysis that we work with. Now let's go over some of the details as well. A number of participants emphasized during the meeting, this is the December meeting, the Federal Reserve, that it would be important to clearly communicate a showing in the pace of rate increases that it was not indicating any weakness of the committee's resolve to achieve price stability or judgment that inflation was already on a persistent downward path. Basically, they want more guidance to the public of what they're doing. I think that makes sense. So these minutes, again, are from December. And these words are very, very different. Participants at that December meeting of the Federal Reserve said they were worried. Why? They said that you need to continue path and that if you get off the path too early, you may not get back closer to that 2% inflation. Wow. So Neil Kashari, who is one of the Fed governors, spoke today, ironically, right before these Fed minutes were released. Did he time it intentionally? I don't know. I don't know the guy. But he literally went on news and he started talking, Kashari, one of the Fed governors, about what he thinks is appropriate right before the minutes were released. Now, you know, everyone is talking tomorrow of the Fed governors. What did Kashari say in his comments today? He's the Minneapolis Federal Reserve president, and he sees interest rates spikes coming for at least another percentage point before the Federal Reserve Bank stops doing it. Excuse me? He believes that the Federal Reserve will spike 1 full percentage point more, and then we're done. Once we see the full effects of a tightened policy, then we can assess whether we need to go higher or simply remain at peak level for longer. To be clear, in this phase, any sign of slow progress keeps inflation elevated for too long will warrant, in my view, taking the policy stance much higher. Wow, that is a big one. Of course, that's just one guy, not the entire group across the board. So this week is a really critical week. Why? Because of all this data being released. Today we had the ISM manufacturing report release. We also have the jobs JOLTS numbers release coming up in a second. But tomorrow we have another report coming out as well. So on Tuesday, the PMI manufacturing report came out, and it was the biggest drop in 1 month since the start of the pandemic. Today, we had the ISM manufacturing report released, and what did that show as well? That ISM manufacturing report today showed that it was exactly as expected, but actually showing some contraction. So manufacturing reports show you whether the economy is growing or whether the economy is shrinking. The report yesterday, which was the PMI report, showed the economy had the most significant drop of manufacturing in 1 month since the start of the pandemic. And today's report showed that in the ISM manufacturing index for Wednesday, that a contraction in the market is there. And this is the first contraction in nearly 30 months of growth across the board. Wow. They attributed, again, to interest rate spikes. Wednesday also had the JOLTS job number. This is the job opening and labor turnover report. And this came in better than expected, suggesting that the labor market is holding up. Wow. So jobs better than expected. Manufacturing weaker than expected today. Yesterday, manufacturing weaker than expected. Tomorrow, we have Fed speeches from more governors. And then we have the new jobless claims number released on Thursday. Two types of jobless claims numbers were released on Thursday. First-time jobless claims and continuing unemployment claims. First-time unemployment claims has continued to grow and then fall back in recent months on this channel. We had gone all the way down to 140. We went up to 260. Then we fell back down to 211. I think last week we were 230. So we're going all over the map. But the number that more people really look at is really Fridays. Fridays is the monthly non-farm payroll jobs report. Everyone in the Sister Brothers waiting for this report. It's on Friday. Because not of the jobs number, but because of the unemployment rate in that report on Friday. Now, again, the way the markets have been reacting lately is that when there is news, they react to the news badly the day after. So if it's good news, they react badly to it the day after. If it's bad news, they react to it badly the day after. That's how they've been doing this lately. It doesn't make any sense. So Friday is the data, and if it's good, they'll react negatively on Monday. If it's bad, they'll react negatively on Monday. So that's where we're dealing with these markets. Very, very volatile, and needless to say, let's look at some more of the detail that we saw across the board today. So in these, in this very, very volatile day, needless to say, the market looked exactly how it looked yesterday. Up about 160 initially, then up about 70, and then kept on eroding slowly. Where were the good numbers and where were the poor numbers today? Art Hogan, Chief Market Strategist at B.R. Riley, says, this is a very much wait-and-see mode. I agree. After wrapping up a year that was pretty much terrible on all fronts, says Art Hogan, there's always going to be some trepidation by investors to put money to work, and we're really seeing that in real time in the first 2 trading days. So he says that Americans are a little bit shy about getting their feet wet in this market. Here are some of the stocks that were making big critical moves throughout the day. Honeywell dropped 2% after a double downgrade by UBS. Ouch. It lowered its price target from 220 to 193. Oh boy. PayPal had another up day. It's 2 days up for PayPal. It may be getting its great opportunity to take on Apple Pay. Our analysis shows that following a decline in 2021 that lasted thereafter, PayPal shares are outgrowing traffic by the select group of merchants in recent months. Absolutely. PayPal was on fire yesterday. PayPal's on fire tonight, needless to say. Etsy should gain more value in this year, says Needham. Oh, the last report, by the way, was analyst Dan Dovey, who's at Mizuno. Wow. And then travel. Here you go. Travel and leisure, up, up, up. Yesterday, we had Las Vegas Sands and Wynn and MGM. A lot of them were up a few days earlier because of the Macau licensing deal done, finally got approved. But today, they're up again. Wynn, Las Vegas Sands, up nicely. Carnival is up 7% today. Then Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, the cruises, were up 3 and 4%. Airlines, all up. United, up 5. Delta, 5. And then American, 5. Las Vegas Sands hit brand new all-time highs, along with Chubb. It's that type of market that is really getting quite interesting. What about Apple and Tesla, however? Apple and Tesla rebounded today after a horrible bloodbath on Tuesday. Tesla rose 3.6% today after a loss of more than 12% yesterday and hit a 52-week low. Oh, boy. And then Apple got some footing today. It was up 1.2% after it really struggled in recent days. Apple and Amazon have had a really bad run lately. In fact, how bad has the run been? In 2022, Apple and Amazon lost, you ready for this? $800 billion of market capitalization, each of them. Apple lost a market valuation of $846 billion in 2022. Amazon lost $834 billion of market capitalization in 2022. And that is the equivalent of nearly 10 Rivians or 40 Rivians or 10 PayPals. Wow. What a night it has been. The night continues, and certainly some voting for Kevin McCarthy. I mean, Kevin McCarthy, 125th vote coming up tomorrow. It just never stops. I think they just put Sirloin in for the vote at this point. I think Sirloin would just kind of get passed very quickly, just offer some $12 ice cream, and everything is ready to rock and roll. I mean, it has just been a very, very peculiar week with this market, and peculiar week with Congress, needless to say, as well. What's important to understand is that for 2023, there is more stimulus than ever. Why? Because all these stimulus checks from 3 years have been saved up or not used, is a better expression. Not used from 2020, not used from 2021, not used from 2022. And 2023 will have additional checks always coming to this channel, as I just found the recent stimulus check are. Again, these are stimulus checks for you if you make $75,000 less. Married couple, $150,000 less. Stimulus checks for you. SSI, stimulus checks for you. SSDI, stimulus checks for you. SSA, stimulus checks for you. Veteran, stimulus checks for you. Low income. How do I get these incredible stimulus checks? You go right in this video, become a member. Go right into that membership newsletter at news.lalate.com/newsletter. Go right into that newsletter and apply for these incredible checks. It's at news.lalate.com/newsletter. Grab the password from the most recent post on A3 channel and put it right into that newsletter. You don't have to even write down the name of the newsletter, the address of the newsletter. The URL, the website, is at the top of the chat, the pinned comment, and also in the description of this video. It's all right there. 3 different places on this video is the address. You just click it and go right in and start applying. It's at news.lalate.com/newsletter. Become a member and start applying for those incredible stimulus checks A to C. Become a member and get those incredible stimulus checks E through K. Become a member and get those incredible stimulus checks L to Q. Become a member and apply for stimulus checks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the brand new second additional home for the newsletter that everyone is talking about. It's news.lalate.com/newsletter. The original location still around, delivered from me to you Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Grab the password from the most recent post and go right in and start applying for some incredible stimulus checks. You deserve all these incredible sums of money. The big week is certainly not over yet. Thursday, Fed speeches. Thursday, new jobless claims. Thursday, long-term unemployment claims. Friday, the unemployment rate and the job creation report. A lot of major news coming up tonight and all throughout the night, always on this channel. For the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. Keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. You should be very proud of yourself. Always keep your motivations up, always seem inspired, and always keep it motivated. Love you to death. Keep on staying focused and keep on staying on top. I'll be with you throughout the night on Evenings LA every night at 5 o'clock. Countdown at 6 o'clock. Stream and stimulus at 7. 8 o'clock is extra. And 9 o'clock is sunset. Stay informed, stay focused, and as always, stay with LALATE for more.